A Nightmare in Richland Hills, written by Jonathan Molina Sr. The wind howled outside as John sat on the couch, flipping through channels absent-mindedly. His daughter, Julissa, his Bugsy, also known as Juju, was upstairs, fast asleep. It had been a long week for both of them, with Juju struggling through nightmares every night. She hadn't told John much, just that someone was after her in her dreams. John tried to brush it off as a phase, something all kids went through. But tonight, something felt different. John rubbed his eyes, exhaustion pulling at him, when he heard it, the faintest of whispers carried on the wind. "Daddy." It was Juju's voice. He bolted up the stairs, heart hammering in his chest, and threw open her bedroom door. Juju was thrashing in bed, her face contorted in terror, as if something was hunting her even while she slept. "Juju!" John yelled, rushing to her side. But as he reached for her, his vision blurred, and a sudden wave of dizziness overtook him. The room spun, and before he could make sense of it, the world around him faded to black. When John opened his eyes, he wasn't in Juju's bedroom anymore. He found himself standing in what looked like a run-down boiler room. The air was thick with heat, the metallic clank of unseen machinery echoing around him. Fear clawed at his chest, and he turned around wildly, searching for Juju. "Dad!" A voice desperate and small echoed from deeper in the shadows. He ran toward it, and there she was, Juju, standing in the middle of the room, eyes wide with fear. Before he could reach her, a figure stepped from the shadows, tall, with a battered fedora, a tattered red and green sweater, and the unmistakable glint of metal claws on one hand. His skin was a patchwork of burns, grotesque and terrifying. Freddy Krueger. John's breath caught in his throat as Freddy grinned, the light flickering off his blades. "Looks like it's family night," Freddy crooned, voice like razors on glass. "Daddy and daughter together forever." "Stay away from her," John shouted, putting himself between Juju and Freddy. But Freddy only laughed, the sound thick with malice. Juju grabbed John's arm, her voice shaking. "Dad, he's been chasing me in my dreams. Every night." John's mind raced. This was impossible. Freddy Krueger, a nightmare demon, something from the horror movies of his youth, was standing in front of him. But somehow, John knew this was real. Freddy lunged, his claws slashing through the air, and John barely had time to pull Juju out of the way. They stumbled back into a dark corridor, fleeing deeper into the labyrinthine boiler room. "We have to wake up," John muttered, pulling Juju along. "If we die here, we die for real." But Freddy's laughter echoed through the space, chilling them to the bone. "You think waking up is that easy?" he called after them, his voice booming from every direction. "This is my world. You don't leave unless I let you." They kept running, their surroundings shifting and changing with every turn. The boiler room melted into an endless hallway of doors, all of them locked. No matter which one John tried, they couldn't find a way out. "We're trapped," Juju whimpered, her small hand gripping his tightly. John's mind raced. How could he protect his daughter from a monster that lived inside their dreams? Suddenly, the hallway flickered, and Freddy appeared before them, blocking their path. John pushed Juju behind him, bracing himself for what was coming. "You're a brave one," Freddy said, dragging his claws along the wall, creating a deafening screech. "But bravery doesn't get you far here." Freddy lunged, but this time, John was ready. He grabbed a rusted pipe from the wall and swung it with all his strength, catching Freddy off guard and sending him stumbling back. "Run, Juju," John shouted. Juju hesitated for a moment, but John gave her a desperate look. "I'll be right behind you. Go." Tears streamed down her face as she turned and ran, disappearing down the endless corridor. Freddy regained his footing, straightening with an amused chuckle. "You really think you can stop me?" He sneered. John's hand shook as he tightened his grip on the pipe. He knew what he had to do. He wasn't going to let Freddy hurt Juju no matter the cost. "I'm not letting you touch her," John growled, stepping forward. Freddy's eyes gleamed with malevolent glee. Brave and stupid. John swung the pipe again, but Freddy was faster this time. He dodged and slashed John across the chest with his claws. Pain ripped through John's body, but he didn't fall. He had to buy Juju more time. "Let her go," John grunted, blood trickling down his shirt. "Take me instead." Freddy paused, his grin widening. "Now that's a deal I like." John fell to his knees, the strength draining from him. He could feel Freddy's claws at his back, ready to strike the final blow. But before Freddy could finish him, John whispered one last thing. "I love you, Juju. Keep running." With a final agonizing scream, John felt Freddy's claws pierce his back, tearing through him. The world around him flickered, Freddy's laughter growing distant as John's vision blurred. Juju awoke with a start, her heart racing, tears streaming down her cheeks. She was back in her room, the morning sun filtering through the blinds. But her father, he wasn't there. She knew, deep down, that he wouldn't be coming back. John had sacrificed himself so she could wake up, so she could live. Juju hugged her knees to her chest, sobbing quietly, her father's last words echoing in her mind. "I love you, Juju. Keep running." And she would. She would run, and she would survive. For him, the nightmare was over, but the memory of her father's sacrifice would haunt her forever.